Hello and welcome to today's class. Now today we're going to be looking at page 85, exercise 4, reading and speaking. So page 85 looks like this. Are you ready? Let's look at exercise 4, reading and speaking, letter A. Now, letter A says, when you play sport or a game with your family, how do you react if you lose? ¿No? ¿Cómo reaccionas, no? Si pierdes. How do you react if you lose? Are you a good or bad loser? Are any of your family or friends bad losers? Well, I'm going to tell you, in my case, I'm a terrible loser. A bad loser? No, a terrible loser. I absolutely hate losing. But I'm not very good at playing games, so I always lose, and that's a very bad combination. What about you? Are you good losers, bad losers, or even terrible losers like me, Let me know. Now, let's take a look at exercise B, shall we? Now it says, read and answer with a name. So, which of the bad losers, number 1, insulted the match official? Number 2, did not want to do his job after a match. Number 3, became very emotional when he couldn't take part in a match. No, participar. Number 4, tried to hit somebody. Now we've seen hit, golpear, no? No, pegar, golpear. And number 5, said sorry after the event, no? Pidió perdón, dijo lo siento, no? Pidió perdón. Now, let's read the text, shall we? Now we're just going to read the first time quickly to find the answers to the question. So here we go. Bad losers. The hardest lesson to learn in sport is how to lose with dignity without blaming your defeat on the referees or refusing to shake hands with your opponent. Here are some famous moments when losing was just too hard. In 1981 at Wimbledon, a young John McEnroe was serving. The umpire said that his serve was ta-ta-ta, but McEnroe thought it was ta-ta-ta. He became furious and shouted, "You cannot be serious," at the umpire. He also called the umpire an incompetent fool. In the 2003 or 2003 Athletics World Championship, the 100 meters runner John Drummond was disqualified for a false start. Drummond lay on the track and began to cry. 2 hours later, his coach told journalists, "He's still crying. We're making him drink water because he's becoming dehydrated." In the 1982 German Grand Prix, Nelson Piquet was winning the race. He was trying to pass Eliseo Salazar, who was last in the race, but Salazar didn't let him go, and Piquet crashed into Salazar. Piquet jumped his car and started trying to hit and kick Salazar without much success. South Korean footballer An Jung-hwan scored the goal that sent Italy the 2002 World Cup when they beat them 2-1. But Jung-hwan also played for the Italian football club Perugia. After the match, the president of the club, Luciano Gauci, announced that the player's contract would not be renewed. "That gentleman will never set foot in Perugia again," Gauci said. "I have no intention of paying a salary to somebody who has ruined Italian football." Gauci later apologized, but An Jung-hwan left the club and never went back to an Italian club. When England won the Rugby World Cup in 2003 by beating Australia in the last minute of the match, the Australian Prime Minister, John Howard, was so angry that in the medal ceremony he almost threw the medals at the English players. His behaviour was described by a journalist as being like an unhappy 5-year-old at a birthday party who starts throwing toys around. Now, that's our text. Take your time to reread the text and answer the questions. Remember, find the name of the person who did the things in exercise B. Now, have you got some answers? Here are the answers. So which of the bad losers, number 1, insulted the match official? That was John McEnroe. He called the match official an incompetent fool. Number 2, who did not want to do his job after the match? Oh, that was John Howard, no? Because his team lost, no? Australia lost the match. 3, which of the bad losers became very emotional when he couldn't take part in a match? That was John Drummond. No, that was John Drummond. And number 4, tried to hit someone. That was Nelson Piquet. And number 5, said sorry after the event. That was Luciano Gauci. Now, excuse me, in number 3, they couldn't take part in a match, no? They couldn't take part, sin más, perdonad, que no podía participar, no pone en un partido, perdón, culpa mía, perdonad. Pero si estáis con el libro, lo pone bien en el libro, perdonad. Now, let's have a look at the next exercise. Now, it says, exercise C. Read the text again and complete the gaps with the prepositions in the list. Now, the prepositions are down, in, out. Out of, you must use that twice, and past. Now, did you notice there are gaps in the text? So these are the words we are going to use to complete the gaps. So, are you ready? Let's have a look. So, let's fill in the gaps, shall we? So, the hardest lesson to learn in sport is how to lose with dignity, ¿no? La lección más dura, la más difícil, ¿no? De aprender es cómo perder con dignidad, without blaming your defeat on the referees, ¿no? Sin culpar o echarles la culpa, ¿no? De tu defeat, tu derrota, ¿no? On the referees, los árbitros, or refusing to shake hands with your opponent, o negarte, ¿no? A dar la mano, ¿no? A tu contrincante, opponent, contrincante. Here are some famous moments when losing was just too hard, ¿no? Aquí tenemos algunos momentos famosos cuando perder fue simplemente demasiado difícil. Now, in 1981 at Wimbledon, a young John McEnroe was serving, ¿no? Sacaba, ¿no? The umpire said that his serve was out. Pues, ¿qué dijo el juez? Pues, ¿no? Que estaba fuera, ¿no? Su servicio, su saque. But McEnroe thought it was in. ¿Y qué pensó McEnroe? McEnroe pensó que estaba dentro, ¿no? He became furious and shouted, "You cannot be serious," ¿no? Su frase mítica, ¿no? "You cannot be serious," at the umpire. He also called the umpire an incompetent fool, ¿no? Y le llamó tonto incompetente. Encantador, ¿no? Charming. In 2003, athletics world champion, the 100 meters runner, ¿no? El corredor de los 100 metros, John Drummond, was disqualified, ¿no? Fue desclasificado for a false start, ¿no? A false start. What is a false start? When you start before the time, ¿no? Es una salida en falso, ¿no? You start before the time, ¿no? So Drummond lay down, no se tumbó, no, on the track and began to cry. Y se puso a llorar. 2 hours later, his coach, no, su entrenador, told journalists, "He's still crying. We're making him drink water because he's becoming dehydrated." Espero que fue broma, porque lloraba tanto, ¿no? Que se acababa deshidratando, ¿no? O sea, que le daban agua para que no se deshidratase, ¿no? My goodness. In the 1982 German Grand Prix, Nelson Piquet was winning the race. Pues iba primero, ¿no? Iba ganando la carrera. He was trying to pass Eliseo Salazar, who was last in the race. ¿Qué intentaba hacer, no? Adelantar, pasar, ¿no? A Eliseo Salazar, que iba al último. But Salazar didn't let him go past, ¿no? Pero Salazar no le dejó pasar, ¿no? Go past him. And Piquet crashed into Salazar. ¿Y qué pasó con Piquet? Pues chocó con Salazar. Piquet jumped out of his car and started trying to hit and kick Salazar without much success. ¿Y qué hizo Piquet? Pues saltó del coche, ¿no? Y empezó a intentar por lo menos darle golpes y patadas, pero sin mucho éxito. Now, South Korean footballer An Jung-hwan scored the goal that sent Italy out of the 2002 World Cup when they beat them 2-1. Pues, ¿qué pasó con ese futbolista? Pues él marcó el gol que mandó a Italia fuera, ¿no? Que les puso fuera, que les mandó a casa, vamos, del Mundial del 2002, cuando les ganó 2-1. But Jung-hwan also played for the Italian club Football Club Perugia, pero él también jugaba por el club de fútbol de Perugia. After the match, the president of the club, Luciano Gauci, announced that the player's contract would not be renewed. ¿Y qué dijo? Anunció el presidente del club. Pues que después del partido que no se iba a renovar el contrato de este futbolista. That gentleman will never set foot in Perugia again, Gauci said. Pues este señor, ese caballero, nunca va a volver a pisar Perugia. I have no intention of paying a salary to somebody who has ruined Italian football. No tengo intención de pagarle un sueldo a alguien, ¿no?, que ha estropeado, que ha arruinado el fútbol italiano. Gauci later apologized. Ahí está, ¿no? Después pidió disculpas, ¿no? And An Jung-hwan left the club and never went back to an Italian club. Y él se fue, ¿no?, del club y nunca volvió a un club italiano de fútbol. Now, when England won the Rugby World Cup in 2003 by beating Australia in the last minute of the match, the Australian Prime Minister, John Howard, was so angry that in the medal ceremony he almost threw the medals at the English players. Pues, ¿qué pasó aquí? Pues aquí no hay huecos, pero vamos a mirar el párrafo. So, cuando ganó England, Inglaterra, ¿no?, el Mundial de Rugby en el 2003, ¿no?, venciendo a Australia en el último minuto del partido, pues el primer ministro de Australia estaba tan enfadado que en la ceremonia de entrega de medallas que casi les lanzó y les arrojó las medallas a los jugadores ingleses. His behavior was described by a journalist. ¿No? Y un periodista describió su comportamiento, ¿no?, como like a unhappy 5-year-old at a birthday party, ¿no?, como un niño de 5 años infeliz, ¿no?, who starts throwing toys around, ¿no?, que empieza a tirar o lanzar los juguetes, ¿no? So that is our text. Now, letter D. It says, look at the highlighted words in the text which are all related to sport. With a partner, guess their meaning. Now, we've talked about the text, but let's revise. So, referees. In singular, referee, it's the official who controls the game in some sports. For example, football referee es el árbitro, ¿no? El árbitro de fútbol. Umpire in paragraph 2. A person whose job it is to watch a game and make sure that the rules are not broken in some sports. For example, tennis or baseball. Now, umpire viene a ser más el juez, ¿no? Pero es muy parecido. Árbitro, ¿no? Referee, umpire, juez, ¿no? Pero son, según deportes, ¿no?, los que controlan, ¿no? Disqualified. Stopped from participating because they have broken a rule, ¿no? Es desclasificado, ¿no? Coach. A person who trains a person or team in sport. El entrenador, ¿no? The coach, a person who trains a person or team in sport. The race. So a race is a competition between people, animals, vehicles to see which one is the faster, si hay dos, and the fastest, si hay más de dos, ¿no? So the race, la carrera. Crashed. Paragraph 4. Hit another vehicle causing damage, ¿no? Chocar, en este caso, con otro vehículo. Scored the goal. Well, he kicked the ball into the net, a point that they scored for this, ¿no? Marcar un gol, ¿no? En este caso pasado, marcó el gol. Football club. Paragraph 5 is an organization where people play football together, ¿no? Un club de fútbol. Beating. Defeating, ¿no? The verb to beat is derrotar o vencer. Medals. Singular, medal. A flat piece of metal, usually like a coin in shape, that is given to the winner of a competition, ¿no? La medalla. And finally, letter E. In pairs, answer the questions. Question number 1. Who do you think was the worst loser? Well, I think maybe in this case, Piqué, because he was almost hitting and kicking his opponent. No, so I think maybe Piquet, or maybe the Prime Minister of Australia, because officially, no, he should be more professional, perhaps. Whose behavior do you think was understandable? Oh, well, I think maybe in this case, in my opinion, John Drummond, no, because he was disqualified for a false start, no. So this must be very frustrating, no, for an athlete if you have a false start. And finally, do you know any famous sports people who are bad losers? Ooh, I don't know. Do you know any famous sports people who are bad losers? Well, what I would like you to do is, don't forget to send me your answers. You can write them, you can record them, but I'd like to know what you think about these questions. Because that's all for today. Thanks for watching.